Good evening, folks. My name is Eric Swain. I am a police officer, been a state police officer in North Carolina for 22 years. I work with Alcohol Law Enforcement. It's a state law enforcement agency. I'm supervisor of the Northeastern District, which is located in Greenville. We have 23 counties in the Northeast, North Carolina, which is a pretty large area encompassing quite a few square miles. I have 8 agents and working on getting a 9th and assistant supervisor, and we all cover those 23 counties. So as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of an area to keep track of and to watch over. What ALE does primarily is we focus on ABC, alcoholic beverage laws, controlled substances, drugs, and we also do a lot of other things. So general crimes, we have a lot of jurisdiction. My daughter is Abby Swain. She is a student at East Carolina, and she has sent us some questions tonight pertaining to racial discrimination as it pertains to law enforcement in this country. And I will do my very best to answer these questions.
When you were getting trained, did you learn anything to prevent discrimination? Or was that not really something that they worried about?
Well, when I first started 20-some years ago, one of the biggest things that we're talking about was, the targeting of or stopping vehicles. That was something that really came to our forefront early on in my career, where we actually had to fill out paperwork for every vehicle that we stopped on what the race of the driver was, if we searched the driver, and that data was maintained to look over periods of time to see if officers were discriminating against certain types of people in certain areas. That was a pretty large thing that came on, and then every year, probably for the past 10 years, we have annual diversity training, where we go into classes. A 4-hour block of instruction is required by the state of North Carolina in order for us to maintain our certification. And that's all law enforcement. That's not just state law enforcement. It's county, city, state. Everybody in North Carolina that is certified as a law enforcement officer in North Carolina must take this class. So it's a program that's put on by the North Carolina Justice Academy, and it's something that is very important to us, very close. And we have to maintain, that level of discrimination, that we can make sure we're not crossing the line as it comes to discrimination. A lot of law enforcement officers, we're not just law enforcement officers. We're also people. We bring, and I say we, as law enforcement collectively, bring our biases. We bring our personal feelings when we come to work, how we were raised. So that's one thing that we have to overcome. All law enforcement have to overcome. It's very important. Considering how I was raised in Eastern North Carolina, it became very difficult in some cases with some of the ways my family raised me, and you had to overcome those issues. But with training and experience, you were able to see the whole picture, not just get a lot of tunnel vision and see one side of the coin.
Due to police officers making very low wages and a majority of them having to pick up a second job, do you think that's what causes them to not, quote unquote, care as much about discrimination against minorities because they aren't really getting paid enough as it is?
Well, everybody that's in law enforcement did not get into law enforcement to make a bunch of money. First and foremost, you got in it to serve. If you want to serve the folks in the public, then you are a police officer. You don't get in there to make a bunch of money. So the fact that most everybody that's in law enforcement has a secondary job, it's because you have to have a secondary job to make ends meet so you can continue to live. I think more than anything, as it pertains to why there's when people are in law enforcement for long periods of time, when they're over 20 years, 15, 20, 25 years, you get a lot of apathy because we get so hardened to what we see every day. We see the violence, we see the problems in communities. We go in these communities and we see people that are held hostage in areas because they can't move. There's gangs, there's guns, there's drugs, there's violence, and we get very, very hard to it. And when we see it, it's not something that, we don't have to live there most of the time. We live it while we're working, and when we come home, we don't really have to deal with it so much. But, I don't think it's attributed to the pay so much as it's just because we get exposed to so many things that they really are troublesome to the soul. They're not just things that the average person, you think you've seen you've seen this and you've seen that, until you see somebody die. It ain't pretty. I mean, there ain't nothing pretty about it. It's sensationalized on the media, the TV. You see it all over the place, but it's really something that's really hard to overcome. It's not easy. I mean, it's very, very stressful. So that's just my perspective on that question.
Have you personally seen someone use their power of being a police officer to cause harm to minority groups purposely?
No, I don't recall ever seeing that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't exist. I don't live in a perfect world, and the media, it puts a lot of spin and a lot of hype on some things that we're exposed to. It's everything is cameras in our face. We're everything that we say, everything that we do is critiqued. It is the media plays and puts their own spin on things. So I've seen a lot in 22 years, but I don't really remember anybody causing harm to someone based on race or something like that would basically discriminate and then cause harm to them just because of our power. It's a law enforcement's a big responsibility, and we have the biggest responsibility of taking away someone's freedom when we arrest them, and ultimately, if we get in a situation where we have to, unfortunately, in a deadly force situation, and you have to react and make a decision in about a second or 2 or 3 seconds that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. I've been in those situations. They're not easy. They live with you for the rest of your life, and it changes you. You become you're different after that situation. So, all right.
This next question says to tell a specific example if you have personally seen someone using their power of being an officer to cause harm to minority groups.
I haven't seen it, so go to the next question.
The next and last question is, do you believe that treating everybody equally in this field and not stereotyping minorities is crucial to being a great police officer?
Absolutely. I mean, it's paramount, and it's incumbent upon all law enforcement officers to do their due diligence to make sure that all walks, every race, every person, we have so many different cultures and ethnic groups that live even in northeastern North Carolina.